sports fans, ASMR Sports, back in your business. Alright, today we're kind of on the move because I have some larger items that I want to show you. In particular, we have some complete junk wax era baseball card cases. So over here on the far right, we've got 1987 Donruss wax box case. And then we've got, next to it, we've got a 1991 Topps baseball wax box case. And the creme de la creme, we have a 1986 Donruss baseball wax box case. I want to show you, if I can here. This is kind of hard to, I'm using this microphone right here, and it doesn't really move around a lot. I guess I could take it out, but it would make a lot of noise. But I want to show you what's inside of each of these, because it's a little bit different in each case. Actually, it's the same for two, different for one. So each of the boxes in this 86 Donruss case is wrapped and sealed by Baseball Card Exchange, and these boxes are from a sealed case. By the way, if you're wondering why I'm whispering, this is an ASMR channel. I just happen to have one of the most amazing collections of crappy old sports cards on the internet, so that's probably maybe why some of you are here, and most of the people watching are here for the ASMR. So anyways, without further ado, let's go to the next one. So these boxes, as you can see, are just, as they came from the factory. They are not authenticated or wrapped by Baseball Card Exchange. This is just a case that came like this when I bought it. So let's look at the last one. Oh yeah, I forgot this last one I was going to open live. So these boxes are also wrapped by Baseball Card Exchange, and each of them is designated from a sealed case. So these two 86 Donruss and 87 Topps boxes are wrapped both from a sealed case, and I'll explain a little bit more about what that means. And then the third box here, this one's kind of falling apart on me. The third box is just straight from the factory. So, all right. So in this video today, by the way, I just realized my volume levels were a bit down because I was doing non-ASMR content. Let's see, how do I want to do this? Well, first I'll talk a little bit about these boxes, kind of why I bought them, and what they are. This one is kind of falling apart here at the seams, unfortunately. But we'll start with this one since it's the cheapest. So this is 1991 Topps, by all accounts, one of the kind of least valuable sets of the junk wax era for Topps baseball products anyways. I think 89 Topps baseball might be worth less, probably 88 as well. I happen to like this set substantively. I think this is one of the most beautiful Topps sets. I mean, in the era it was in, it is certainly, one of the most, if not the most beautiful Topps flagship sets of the kind of, 80s and then very early 90s era. Was about this time that Topps and all the other brands started coming out with premium brands like Topps Stadium Club, Fleer, Ultra, and, on and on down the line. Upper Deck came out, and all those premium brands really, they emphasized, quality photography like you see on these two cards here. But Topps, sort of flagship baseball cards did not generally have such cool photos. And so this set was really kind of a standout in that regard. And it was not, sort of just a sort of happy accident. No, you see, this year, 1991, was the 40th anniversary of Topps baseball cards. The first set was the 1951 Redbacks, I think they're called. And of course then, after that, the first sort of large set they produced, 1952 Topps came out, and the rest, as they say, is history. But in 1991, it was 40 years since that first Topps set of 1951, and for that occasion, they put together a set that I think, really emphasized a lot of the cool photos that you see on the box here. There were also some other cool things, like they put buyback cards in here, including some theoretically valuable ones, although I don't know if you would get an actual card or redemption. It's funny, I've never really looked into this, but this is something that would be fun to look into, as, like, did anybody ever win the complete vintage sets 1952 to 1990, because that would of course include the entire 1952 Topps set, which has the Mickey Mantle card, now worth, many tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars, or millions depending on the condition. So anyways, so I've always loved this set. I remember when I first started collecting again back in like 2017, I would see these at card shows for, $10, or if I was lucky, maybe $5. And, just really people were trying to give them away. But now, like, everything else in the kind of junk wax sealed product era, they go for a bit more than that. Maybe not a ton more, but I don't know. I feel like give it time, and people who appreciate that set like me will eventually gobble these up, and a lot of them are still being opened. People just like to open stuff, and when they do, it creates more scarcity. So next up is the 87 Topps baseball box. Now I'm probably on my like 4th or 5th case of 87 Topps, and this set, for many people of my age, in their 40s or maybe 50s, this set really is just absolute pure nostalgia. This set was all over the place in 1987. The hobby was, just kind of blowing up. And yeah, I don't know what else to say. I mean, the design is kind of iconic in my sense, or in my opinion. The wood grain borders on the cards in this set are just sort of classic. It mimics the 1962 Topps set that also had wood grain borders, and so for many people it felt kind of like a throwback. And these days, a lot of people, this set was, a big part of their childhood, and just collecting sports cards at the time this set came out was just kind of a very different and very exciting sort of thing. Everybody was obsessed with rookie cards. It's kind of funny because it's sort of like, what happened to sports cards during the pandemic, like in late 2019 and most of 2020, actually all of 2020. Everybody kind of came back to the sports card hobby, and lots of people who had not collected in many years kind of got into it, and lots of people who were interested in sports cards as like an investment got interested, and there was just so much energy and excitement and upward momentum in prices of everything. It was an exciting time to collect in 1987, 88, 89, and we got a little taste of that again in in the pandemic era, and I think in Pokemon we're kind of seeing a similar thing as well, where it's this sort of mix of people coming back for nostalgia, but also coming back, with the idea that they want to pick some of this stuff up and put it away. But anyways, 1987 was a long time ago. Right now, these boxes are, probably not worth nearly what people in 1987 thought they would be if they put them away. Mostly because they just made so many of these. There's still a pretty good supply yet. As we will see, the pricing on these, has definitely made some upward progress in the last couple of years. And, this was very similar to the 1991 boxes, something that you could find very, very frequently for $10 or $15, at card shows back in 2016, 17, 2018. Then, when the pandemic kind of bubble of sports cards happened, this and every other sealed product, as really every sports card product, went up just significantly value, but most of the sealed stuff that kind of went up during that time frame mostly came back down. It didn't quite go all the way down to where it was before the pandemic, but it did come down significantly. And in the last couple of years, I would say 2023 and onward, things have slowly started to kind of, rebound in a much more healthy kind of growth in value, where, every quarter it goes up a small percentage, but year over year it's doing quite nicely. And as we'll see, these are no longer, $10 or $15 boxes, particularly if you have them wrapped like this. And I said I would explain what these wrappings mean. So if you have a box of sports cards, just a single box like this, and you want to make sure that none of the packs have been opened and that all the packs are authentic and not fake, you can send it in to an authenticator. In this case, it's Baseball Card Exchange. There are really only a couple, that maybe 3 actually, that have kind of the respect of the market, such that they go up in value if you have them authenticated. Baseball Card Exchange is by far the biggest authenticator of unopened baseball card boxes, and generally also other sports cards as well as non-sports cards. Famously, they don't do Pokemon. They once did, but there was a scandal, and now they don't. So, in any event, you can send in a box of cards. They will look at all the packs, make sure they haven't been opened. They can't guarantee you, if you just send them a single box, that those packs are not from like 50 different boxes. Well, 36, I guess, would be the most number of boxes they could be from, since there's 36 packs in a box. But if you just send it in, by itself, the wax box, then all they're saying is that there are 36 packs, and none of them have been opened. So that's what's in here. It may not be the original 36 packs that came in that box, but it's 36 unopened packs of the set in question. Now, if you have a sealed case of sports cards cards, as sometimes I do, you can send in that entire case to Baseball Card Exchange. And no, it's not cheap to do that shipping-wise because they're very heavy, often over like 60 pounds, which is sort of the cutoff for when UPS basically, rolls over you in their frickin' tank in terms of pricing. But if you have a sealed case, you can send it in, and then what they'll do is check to make sure the case was never opened, and if the case was never opened, in their opinion, they will wrap it up. They'll wrap up each of the boxes inside, and they will put from a sealed case. And so what that means is that this box is as it was when it came from the factory. And all of the 36 packs originally in this box are still in this box, and now it's been wrapped and authenticated as from a sealed case by Baseball Card Exchange. So again, there's two kinds of wrapping or authentication that can happen at Baseball Card Exchange. One is just the regular authentication where they don't know necessarily where the packs came from, but they know there's the right number of packs, and those packs have not been opened. And then there's the FASC, or from a sealed case, and those boxes are, certified to be from a case that had never been opened, and so they would be boxes that are in the original form that they came in from the factory. And so as you imagine, the latter, the FASC boxes go for a healthy premium over the regular BBCE authenticated boxes, although it's entirely possible that if you have just a non-FASC box, it actually is, going to contain the 36 packs original to it, but it's a mystery. You will never know. Alright, and so the thing I wanted to kind of talk about in this video is, like, how I buy stuff like this, and, kind of what my process is. So each of these is a slightly different acquisition. The 91 Topps case, which was the first box that I showed you, I bought as a case on eBay. It was, let's see, I have my prices next to me, $413 shipped for that box, which is a really good deal because those boxes cost generally like, $50-$60 at least to ship, and a lot of people will charge you $100 and $120 to ship it because they just don't know what they're doing, and they want to charge you, sort of enough to make sure they can get it to you, but it really shouldn't cost $120 to ship that box, although it can, as we will see, based on what I got charged by Baseball Card Exchange to send one of these cases back to me. But the 1991 box, again, I just bought a case of it, and the description on the eBay auction was that like one flap was open, so I knew it was probably not going to be something that could yield FASC boxes. And when I got it, it actually was like both the flaps were open, so yeah, it was definitely not going to be a FASC situation. On the other hand, the case that this came from, I bought from somebody online in a Facebook group that offered to, when they listed it, they offered, to bring it to Baseball Card Exchange if that was desired. So that's exactly what I had them do. I bought this case of boxes for $850, and they brought it to Baseball Card Exchange for me, and then I had Baseball Card Exchange authenticate it and determine that the boxes were, FASC. The case was sealed when they got it, and then wrap them and then return them to me. So I'll talk a little bit about like kind of the cost and the process of that. So those are two, different ways to buy things, and you can also do what I did in the case of this one, which was buy a complete case of FASC wrapped boxes that somebody has already sent to Baseball Card Exchange and paid to have them wrap and authenticate, and then they just pass along to you the entire sealed case, which is exactly what is the case for the boxes that this case that this box came in, this 86 Donruss baseball. So I paid a significant price price. It was $4,300, including shipping, to get this case of 20 FASC sealed boxes. And so that's sort of like the simplest way to proceed, because you don't have to send anything into Baseball Card Exchange or get it there. You don't have to pay them to, authenticate it, send back to you, and kind of deal with the time that it takes to do that and the expense. But you're going to pay more for these boxes than you would for, getting a sealed case. So some people like to try to find sealed cases on the cheap and then have them send them to Baseball Card Exchange to be wrapped, and then they get sent on to the buyer at that point. And so if you do that, you can save some shipping, because if I had something sent from an eBay seller to me, and then I'd have to pay for that shipping, and then to send it to me, from me to Baseball Card Exchange, that's another shipping charge, and then from Baseball Card Exchange back to me is another shipping charge. So it's a potential for like 3 shipping charges for a case if you're just trying to find cheap cases on eBay, unless you can get someone to send it directly to Baseball Card Exchange, and you've only got to pay for shipping twice. And the best case scenario is what happened with the 87 case, where basically the person brought it in their car to Baseball Card Exchange. I think they were planning to go there for some other stuff that they had to bring in, so they basically just offered to bring it in if somebody wanted to buy that case. So in that case, I only paid 1 shipping charge, as the charge from Baseball Card Exchange to me. So so I wanted to kind of show you my sort of numbers here. Again, the 86 Donruss case I bought for $4,300 shipped, which yields a per box price of $215. The 87 Topps case I bought, sealed, for $850. It got brought to Baseball Card Exchange, and they charged me $275, which is basically $8 per box, which is what that's sort of their minimum price to authenticate something. So 20 times 8 is 160, and then the remainder, like whatever, 120, 130 bucks to get to that 275 is the shipping, return, and insurance cost. So if you add in the authentication plus the price of the case itself, you get a cost of $1,125, which is $56.25 per box. And then finally, the 91 Topps case I got for $413 shipped, which yields a price of $20.65 per box for the unauthenticated boxes. And then I sort of ran a calculation where I added the $275 it would cost to authenticate these, and then divided that by the number of boxes, and then the boxes would cost me $34.40. So what I want to do with you guys now is show you kind of what these are selling for currently on the market. All of these boxes I've bought in the last, I would say, 3 months. The 87 Topps box I've had the longest. That had to go to Baseball Card Exchange, sit there for about a week, and then get authenticated and sent back to me. Every other box or case came directly to me. So, all right. So first up, I just searched for 1986 Donruss FASC PPCE, and mostly that's going to be, what we're after here, which is the wax boxes. Actually, this one doesn't say. I didn't search for wax box. Sometimes I will. I could, and this would get a lot more kind of specific, but I think it's going to omit, like a lot of these. So it's kind of like box you could search for. Let's look at the pricing that these are fetching. Alright, remember we paid $215 to my door for each of these boxes when I bought 20 of them. And the first listing we we see is like $316 shipped. So, that's $100 more than what I paid. And then if you go back to July, there's a buy it now for $350 plus 11 shipping, so basically $360 for this FASC box here. So we've got a 315, a 316, and a 360. If we go back and see what else there is, so this is not the same box, because this is a box that is not FASC, it's just BBCE authentic, which means the packs in there could be from, up to 36 different boxes. And you see the price, this one fetch, which is about $175, $180, is substantially lower than the pricing we're seeing for the FASC boxes. And like these here are not Donruss, this is Leaf, which is basically a Canadian version of this product that is quite a bit rarer. And these are, these are about $250 just for non-FASC boxes. So it is a more expensive product than what I've got. But here's another FASC for $325. And then some other non-FASC ones. So as you can see, current pricing on these is very favorable to the price that I paid. Looks like I've got, a potential of $100 profit per box times 20 boxes, $2,000 profit. Of course, if I were to sell these on eBay to get sort of the maximum price, I would be paying a lot in fees, so I prefer not to do that. But I might put these up on my website, and, if the cheapest you can get them, actually took a quick look at non-sold items. There's one here basically for, right at that $300 price point shipped. Maybe I could sell them for like $275 shipped on my site. But once this one goes, the cheapest one, I think the cheapest ones are going to be like $325, which is this one here, $350. That's not a FASC, and I think that's it for FASC listings. This one's also FASC. So basically there's one that's kind of a solid, that's the lowest pricing. And then everything after that is $325 shipped or higher. So if I could sell these at $275, I'd be making a decent profit. I still would have to pay credit card fees to sell that box. So something to consider in my pricing. But point is, these were a really good deal, and definitely a win. And I knew that it was a good deal when I bought this. I looked at the pricing and I thought, gee whiz, these are going for a lot more than what this person's selling them for, so I should probably pick them up. Let's look at 87 Tops next. So what we have here is FASC boxes that were sold in the last 30 days. And again, I paid $56.25 for each of the boxes in the case that I bought. And by the way, you're hearing the Discord on one of my other computers going bonkers, as it always is. But anyways, I paid $56.25 all in for each of the boxes that I bought. And as you can see here, they're selling for basically $77 shipped, $79 shipped. Here's one for 120, actually 122 plus 13, so that's like $140 shipped for this box. Another one for basically 100 shipped is about 113 shipped. So these boxes are definitely worth, more than what I paid for them. Going by eBay pricing, not quite as good as the deal I got on the 86 Donruss, but still a solid deal to pay $56.25 for these boxes when they're kind of pretty regularly selling for like close to $100 shipped. So that was another kind of good score there. And I think I have at least one other case that I probably got for like $600 or $700 and had it wrapped a long time ago. FASC. And I think I have 2 more cases that are just still sealed and, you know, have not been authenticated at all. So someday maybe I would send those in, or maybe I would sell them. But I think cases, I want to see what a case is selling for. Again, I paid $850 for the case that I bought. You have to look sometimes. So there's one that's sold for basically about $1,200 and whatever, $40. Shipped. There's one for basically the exact same price. Here's one for a bit over $1,300 shipped. So again, I paid $850 shipped for my case. Oh, it's funny. Here's one for $850 plus $75 shipping, but it's pretty beat up. And this one, I don't like it when I see tape on them because it doesn't necessarily mean they're not sealed, but they seem suspicious to me if they have tape on them. This is what a factory sealed box looks like, direct from Topps. There's just some glue that they put under these flaps here, and that's how it's sealed. And they, will look for the right type of glue and the right like pattern of glue when they open those at Baseball Card Exchange. So yeah, another solid deal there. Now let's look at 91 Topps. Again, I paid $413 shipped for my case, which is $20.65 per box. So I just searched for 1991 Topps baseball wax boxes. These are all going to be authenticated, presumably. And yeah, so this one's going for $46 shipped. Here's $48 shipped. Here's $50 shipped. $42 shipped. Again, I paid $20.65 to my door for mine. And so yeah, I don't know, average price of these unauthenticated boxes shipped is about $40 to $50, $40 to $50, and I paid $20.65. So another another good win there. And then if I wanted to send these in, well, actually, it's funny because I calculated $275 to get a full case of these 91 Topps boxes authenticated, but I actually would pay more than that because I'd have to send it to Baseball Card Exchange, which would probably cost me. Actually, whenever I do it, I feel like it never seems to cost very much. So I don't know what Baseball Card Exchange is doing when they send it back, but they claim that it's crazy. So I don't know. Let's say it cost me $50 to ship it. Then it would be another basically $2 per box. So instead of $34.40, it would be about $36. We'll call it $37. Is what it would cost me for each box, both for the box itself and the authentication and all the shipping. $37. So then the question is, what does a BBCE authenticated non-FASC box sell for if I have to pay $37 for such a thing? Well, let's take a look. This is an FASC box right on top, so that doesn't count. And here is a non-FASC, and that's what we would have. So this is the right comp. So this is about basically $42 shipped. This one is about $51. This one is FASC, so we don't look at that one. This one is regular, so this is about about $60 shipped on that one. So we are seeing some comps that are basically $50 to $60 for a wrapped box, and again, it would cost me about $37 to get 20 authenticated boxes all in. So it's a bit of a profit, but not a significant one. So I think my play for 87 Topps boxes, 91 Topps boxes, and probably everything in between, from flagship Topps stuff. My play is to kind of hang on to that stuff. this stuff is the activity that I've been seeing on 86 Tops boxes. So these suckers are selling for $250 FASC. There's another one that's a non-FASC. And these boxes, you know, raw, unauthenticated, used to be able to get them for like 15, 20 bucks, you know, back in 2017, 2018. Now they sell like over 100, like 100, 120 bucks for a raw box. Oh, my daughter's got a... Okay, she's in the bathtub, so I gotta get her out. But I'm gonna probably conclude here and just say that I really like buying this stuff, and this is the kind of thing I'm after. So hope you guys enjoyed. All right, thanks.